Don't worry, I'm nice. It's funny how time flies. We was kids trying to save up for GTA 5. Now it's G's in the T with like 5 ZKs or a Glock doing up drive back. Robberies and violent crimes. Let corn flying and sirens cry. Love when the mileage runs on rides. Rise up, cause they wanna take it there. They don't size up, minus the waps and weapons, it still wouldn't make it fair. Pull up, they run and they pray when we're here. I'm feeling the hate and fear. We ain't coming to spray in the air, so I suggest man stay in the clear. Hope someone's on the end of the barrel. Don't ask why I'm power, the 5-0 dressed in the man's apparel. 2 white girls in a boat trying to paddle, I'm watching them drop like Isaac's apple. Post up like a soldier inviting a battle, factual. No 4 wheels, man, get on the saddle. Formation, you could try, we'll tackle. I'm ready for war, rise up the battalion. Crash pop doors trying to kick off the stallion. I put mine, but he slapped it random. I ain't even got my belly on. Fucking hell. Buy it, expect nothing less from my close companion. Expect you losing your medallion. Expect touch on the ruin the party. Done. Pull up with a horse, not a Ferrari. I ain't come for Panani, I came with 2 waps, Nego, Cardi, smartly roll up, fly at the car seat. Hella new shapes on the block like a car meet. Is he a rat? Man, he can't be. Is he a up? He can't walk past me. Think about what life would have been like if it wasn't E8 and E9. If it wasn't 3-8s on 4-4s and getting more smoky than 3-5s. To make big men sit down in the beehive, bat you on track round D-sides. Rewind these times we was gliding, so where was you through the peak time? Summertime C8 got a reach out. Access to a fire whenever. Got the turners, them on speed out. Meanwhile stuck in the T, so my workload repowers. I don't sleep much and I'm needing the rest. Phone beats off and they're needing the best. I brought the broom and left with the broom.
Good morning, family. You guys should be able to hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. You know, let's definitely send out this link and get it out to everybody. I'm going to be live in a couple of minutes, starting in about 5 minutes. So make sure you guys send this link out to everybody. Like I said, it's open to everyone. Ideally, we should have a little setup here on Gold here within the next little bit if we don't take off from here. So definitely send this link out, gang. Let's get at least like 20-30 people on this call. And like I said, family, we're gonna get it started here in a couple minutes.
Catch me tripping on a bitch, unless she's on the floor. Catch me bagging up this bud, unless I bag the bigger roll. Been on so many tours, that was all before the tour. Full pipes on the whip, this ain't no regular exhaust. Do something for me, tell my young boy go and drop something for me. Don't come back unless the ting go buddy. Gotta call the duty, now he's waiting in the lobby. And I trap like it's a hobby, so turn up, I don't even need to show my face. To the metal round the ends like a parade for a cop. And I only sip red or perp from my cup. Made all this money, it don't feel like it's enough. Flying birds like there's some doves. Pushing came to shove. I invested in some guns and 150 in some runs. Don't compare me to these punks now. We ain't the same. This is built from pain. This is built from losses, and I chose him to the game. If I fell out with my brothers, take your secrets to the grave. Fully paid, watches playing, got no face, got my name, I got no prison time. It can change any minute. Got my runner at my house, updates every minute. Used to fuck this one hole, we ain't fucked in a minute. If I ever need her, it'll be there in a minute.
Come walk with me. Yo, this day date 40 cost 43. I pattern up accordingly. Yo, I can show you how to level up. I can show you how to pebble grub and turn them bricks into mortgages. We ain't the same, you ain't like me, no. I got lifers on my phone that wanna know about the life on road. I push the Rari with the top down. I take my top off and get my foot down. Get rich and never look down, I'm that brother. Yo, let's turn the phones on and have a mad summer. Got 012, I was a crack runner. I put the man them on the phone and introduced them to some mad numbers. I put in work to get the trap jumping. And yo, I built this from the bottom. I stayed on that sofa just shotting. Who's selling, we copying, yeah. I got brothers that I love but can't work with. Brothers that were on but got birded. It's slim.
We ain't the same. This is built from pain. This is built from losses, and I chose him to the game. If I fell out with my brothers, take your secrets to the grave. Fully paid, watches playing, got no face, got my name, I got no prison time. It can change any minute. Got my runner at my house, updates every minute. Used to fuck this one hole, we ain't fucked in a minute. If I ever need her, it'll be there in a minute.
I'll have it there in a second. Moving Mel Gibson with a lethal weapon. I was outside giving testers. You ain't took losses, had to hit the stove and overstretch it. Told the fiends it'll be good on the next one. You get it? I know the pain, I know the graft. Fully paid, I'm full of heart. 8 years, I've done the half. I know the game is just a part. I tell them do something for me and don't come back until you something for me. Don't compare me to these guys.
What's going on, family? Can you guys hear me? Drop a one if you guys can hear me. Never saw you guys drop no ones before. Can you guys hear me? Okay, perfect. Well, good morning. You know, grateful for those of you that tuned in today, this morning. Right, definitely grateful. But digging straight into kind of everything. Thank you, Josh. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Right, grateful. But ideally, in terms of what we're currently looking for right now, I really like the idea of gold longs. I personally got into a position. I got into a position around here, 1905. I like that 1905 area. If you guys obviously we're in the group chats. I had kind of called out a couple areas yesterday, and this was actually one of the areas right in here, this 5-minute imbalance that we came and we filled perfectly, right? So this is something that really, when it comes down to being able to identify points of interest, this is just ideally a solid point of interest that we had. Let me turn that down. This is just a solid point of interest that we had in terms of correlating the higher time frames with the lower time frames. Thank you, Nathaniel. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Right, let's definitely go send out this link, family. Let's get 30 plus in the cut. Right, definitely feel like we could do it. But in terms of that, like I said, currently what I'm looking for is just a continuation higher. With the new 15-minute candle starting, it's 10:15. To me, probably what we end up seeing happening, we probably come and we fill this area in here. Alright, we'll get rid of this area. And realistically, we probably see something along the lines of this. What is this? Oh. I think the line is green. So like positioning wise, this is kind of something that I would be looking at. I would recommend like a smaller risk if you're gonna get in here. If you're gonna have your stop at the bottom, just because to me it's kind of a big area, and we definitely could wick a little bit deeper into this lower area. For me, I personally have my position in about this area right here, about 1905. So I also could really see just the potential of us coming back a little bit lower into this candle. So that's kind of where I would be more leaning towards, like myself personally. If I were to kind of like just add on to my position, if we could get into here, that would be lit. If not, to me, we probably just fill this. To me, what I would be more comfortable kind of risking is maybe about like 15 pips or so. Just because risking a whole 40, I think that there's just a potential to get a better entry without having to risk as much. And that's just like my personal opinion. So realistically, we would need to like make a new high of the day, basically out of this push in my eyes. Like if we don't, because what I can see happening is really us pushing up into about this 1914, 1915 area and then continuing lower. But right now it looks good to ideally continue, and what we do want to see ideally is price continue to print higher, right? So in terms of potentially looking for a position, like I said, we would ideally want to just see price come back down, right? So we'd want to see it come back either into this box, right, or best case, ideally lowest risk highest reward scenarios, if we could catch an entry within this lower area, and obviously the first take profit would virtually be the same. It would be about like almost a 1 to 6 risk to reward ratio. So it would make sense from a risk to reward aspect, right, to definitely be able to see price just like continue in the direction that we want it to go, which is obviously up. Right, overall, in terms of this whole structure, this whole area that we're playing out of right now, 4 hour wise, in my eyes, this is really as low as we should continue. Like I really do like buys off of like the higher time frame. Like where I really anticipate price to continue would be obviously all the way up into this area, right? So to me, that's kind of more or less what I would be looking at, and just being able to sit here and identify what makes the most sense, like based off the 4 hour time frame. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. In terms of just being able to sit here and just have this position right now. Like I said, I think overall in the 4-hour time frame, it just looks the most promising to get that continuation in the direction that we want to see, right? So it's definitely amazing to be able to sit there and just do what we ideally want to see. How, like, we want to see certain things happen, and if certain things don't happen, that's how you can kind of invalidate whether or not your trade is going to be just really valid or not, right? You don't want to sit here and take entries and take positions just because. Like, you want to be able to take positions and take entries because things really make sense. And I think for the most part, a lot of the times things don't really make sense to people. I think they just kind of impulsively just act upon what they think is right, as opposed to maybe what they've seen work in the past. Thank you, Kevin. Is it too late to get into gold? So no, it's not too late. I was just going over the areas we'd want to see gold come back to. So basically, we wouldn't want to enter right here where it's at right now, just because it has taken off a little bit. But we do want to see price come back a little bit lower. Ideally, if we can get it into 1907.6, that'd be amazing. You know, maybe even a lower, right? That would be amazing. But to me right now, what I anticipate to see, right, is just overall a continuation higher. Like, what would really validate what we're looking for, if we could get a close above this high, that would be amazing, in my opinion, just for what we're looking for in terms of overall direction. So I think about 10:30 is when we'll be able to get a potential re-entry, if we're able to really get one at all. Nice, finally we took this low. I was gonna be salty if that shit just really took off without taking the low. But ideally, Nas, this is kind of what, like, there's 1 or 2 scenarios I saw happening for Nas, and basically it looks like the second one is kind of playing out right now. So what I wanted to see initially was just this, either this low get taken, or I wanted to see price actually just fly out of this area. And we got a little bit of a bounce, and then we broke down, a little bit of a bounce, and now we really took all of those lows. So in my eyes, what we could really see on Nas is potentially a pop up as well, just because we're at the bottom of this 4-hour range. So that's more or less what I was looking for in terms of the 4-hour, for us to come and make a new lower low over here, right? It would definitely it would just make sense to see a pop back up to the upside. I don't know how high we go, if we even really take the high. But what I could really see happening is Nas making its way back up to at least probably up in here. I could see us filling, right, coming back into maybe later on today. We might not as well. Like, there was news at 10. I know we had I think it was some consumer. Let me pop this up real quick. So basically, when it comes down to the news today, we had CB Consumer Conference, right? We can see that the forecast was 105. The actual was 103. So what is this? So this is basically just how broke people are, right? So people are more broke than they anticipated people to be, and that is not really a surprise at all. That to me makes the most sense. So what you really have to sit here and understand is, okay, right, if people are making less money than anticipated, what should we expect certain things to do? We should expect stocks to go down. Okay, so NAS 100 going down, it makes sense, right? So it's like, overall, like I said, we could see a little bit of a pop up to fill IPA. I really think we might just fill this and go too. But yeah, I kind of like this a little bit better. I'm not even gonna lie. So basically, with NAS, right, of course, with a lot of tech stocks being just obviously in the NAS one and the NASDAQ, right? NASDAQ is consisted of just various tech companies. So in terms of that, obviously, if people are making less money, what we have to expect is that a lot of these stocks are going to be going down, right, in terms of the value. So what does that mean for things like gold, right, or things like cryptocurrency? These are safe havens for the US dollar. So gold will just virtually be going up whenever the dollar is going down. So that's why right at the beginning of the news, we saw gold kind of pop up, right? Gold flew about like 30, 40 pips, right? And this is why basically right at the open of the news, right at 10 o'clock, we, fell virtually the same way. So overall on NAS, what we could potentially see is shorts. Like I said, we could potentially pop up. Like I wouldn't like buy it per se, but I'm anticipating us to kind of flip up a little bit. Like I couldn't see us really continuing too much lower without either coming back into this first area or either this higher area. So we have 2 points of interest virtually that we're looking at that just kind of makes sense in terms of potential positioning. But now it would just be a matter of just being able to kind of wait and let price develop to see what is really going to be taking place. Because a lot of the times, like I said, people are just a little bit too early. And for me, like I said, there's no point in enforcing a potential setup when there's really just no need. So overall, NAS, I would be kind of just waiting. I wouldn't really be touching. So gold is coming into this area that we were just discussing in terms of the 15-minute. So what you could do is you could potentially take a position, like I said, with just a smaller risk. So if you were to be getting in, right, like I said, all you would be doing is taking a smaller risk than you probably normally would take, right? Like I said, just because we're ideally looking for about a 13 pip risk here. But we probably, like I said, we probably don't push lower. If this is really going to go higher, I don't think we push too much lower than here. But there's always the potential. So like I said, you can enter, if you're brand new, right, XAU USD buys by market, right? Ideally, we came into our area just perfectly, right? You can see we wicked into this area. This insufficiency, this is why I say patience is just very key. You're never really going to miss a trade as long as you're watching it. So in terms of this, like I said, it's just nice to see the accuracy in terms of our points of interest. Like I said, we don't really like to guess. So our areas, you're really going to know right away whether or not we're right or wrong. In this particular scenario, this is a nice reaction. This is ideally kind of the type of reaction you wanted to see, at least leading into that candle close, right? So right at 10:30, what we should expect to see, literally right at the beginning of 10:30's candle, right, is based off of that close. What we should see is price pop back into the same area. So now, right, we were just looking for it to come here on the 15-minute. It did, right? We pushed down into this wick, or into this imbalance, right? And now, in 24 seconds, what we're really going to anticipate and be looking for is price to come back to this white box one more time before continuing higher. Okay? So that's the beautiful thing about trading, is that you're ideally going to get multiple opportunities to re-enter. So right at the beginning of this 15-minute, right, like I said, 30-minute candle-wise, what we want to see is price push back into this box. So what is price doing instantly? Pushing back into this box. Okay, so now what does that mean? Well, when price is inside this box, this means it is valid for our entries or valid for our re-entries, right? So anywhere in this box would really be the entry area. And like I said, down below, I have my stop loss at about 1906, right, on the dot. Like I said, I have a tight stop loss for the first one, about 10 to 15 pips, only because we anticipate it could come a little bit lower. And what we would do is just risk, maybe 5 to 10 more pips there to have a total risk of 20 pips instead of sitting here and entering at the beginning and top of this area. Stop loss below the low would be about 30-40 pips, right? So you should be able to enter XAU USD longs by market, right? Ideally, I like the idea, right, of price obviously continuing higher, right? So definitely makes a lot of sense, like I said, to just have price do exactly what we're really anticipating. So yeah, like I'm telling you, this is really just amazing in terms of what we look for. So like I said, if we're able to just fly, this is ideally what we look for, right? But if not, like I said, worst case scenario is, you know, you lose a couple pips, 5-10 pips. So yeah, ideally, like I said, Goldie back in that spout, right, back in that area. So to me, with it being 10:30, like I said, we ideally want to see price start to run like within the next couple of minutes. Like I said, if it breaks down too much below this area, then ideally this next little box, that's where you're gonna probably see a quick little impulsive push. For me right now, like I said, in my opinion, it looks like we probably will push lower, right? So if we do push a little bit lower, like I said, you might get tapped out. So this is the one thing about playing smaller areas, is that if you get tapped out, you can't be scared to re-enter, right? Or like if price, for example, comes close to your entry area, like sometimes just having too tight of a too tight of a stop loss and not accounting for spread will dictate whether or not you're able to actually take a position or not. But to me, like I said, I still like price. Sometimes you just got to give it a little bit of time to kind of develop. Overall though, like I said, in terms of buy wise, like it needs to fly. If it doesn't fly, like it's gonna dump. Like there's nothing more that we need to do in terms of going up in order to allow price to go lower. Like it's clean, right? We can really, after this wick right here, these two wicks, we don't actually have to do anything more. So this is what I really want you to explain, is that we really should see a bounce out of here, or else obviously we're going to be wrong, right? So in terms of this, you can see, right, we came a little bit deeper into this area, but this is just really where you get better entries, right? The more patient you are, the better the entry you can get. And ideally, the more disciplined that you're going to become as an individual, right? What you're going to be able to do and establish is just something that develops your confidence. Because one of the most important things that I want people to really sit here and understand is the importance of compounding your trading account, right? So let's say, for example, right, I was running the numbers yesterday, and I feel like this is something that's very realistic for everyone. Okay, so let's say that, you mind writing on the screen? What did you want me to write, Rose? My fault. My apologies. Like the entry area, is that what you want me to write on the screen? My fault. I didn't even look at the chat. Nah, it's on its way to the area. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you. I appreciate you. What's your take profit for Goldie? Is that what you're talking about? Oh, I thought I had that joint on there. Ideally, take profit 1 would be 1916. It would be above this high. I would love to see like a pop into this lower box, just because these lower areas is typically like, that's where you're gonna be able to really hammer these plays in terms of like smallest R&R. Like I'm still in from this area, because I really like this area that we're in. I don't think we have to come all the way down here, but I'm still ready. Like I said, we could sit here and potentially get in with like a 10, 11 pip stop. Like I said, in total, that'd be about like 20 pips, which is pretty good for gold. I know a lot of people, they risk a lot for gold, right? I don't really like to risk a lot. This would be like 23 pip risk between the two entries. Like I said, depending on where you got in here, like I say you got in a little bit lower right here, so you would really have like virtually no drawdown. Like I said, it's just being patient. Like these whole areas, like the thing about people, I feel like is, you know, for example, we might have our area in this box, right? So it's like as we're coming down below this box, you might be scared to enter right at the bottom of this box, or you see it come a little bit below the box. You might be scared, right? You can't be scared, right? That's the difference between, you know, elite traders and just quite frankly like unprofitable traders. Unprofitable traders just can't. They're not quick on their feet, right? And if you're not quick on your feet, sometimes you're gonna get in a little bit late, and when you chase a trade, sometimes it doesn't always go in your favor, right? Yeah, no worries. I hope that makes sense, right? So ideally, like I said, if you're brand new, you should be buying XAU USD. If you're brand new, I would say put your stop loss below 1904.61. That would be super safe. If you're a little bit more experienced, you can kind of follow the parameters I have on my screen here. It would be an 11 pip risk. Like I said, 1906 is where I have my stop right now. But ideally, what we do want to see price do is continue to at least 1916. That would be about just under 100 pips, right, from our current point of interest. So in terms of that, like I said, we got a lovely little reaction out of our first initial area. And like I said, right now, what we should really see is a continuation, right? So drop some dollar signs if you guys are in gold with me in the chat. Ideally, like I said, price is just reacting very lovely out of our area. Like I said, it's just patience, right? It's a lot of patience and a lot of discipline. Because can you see how overall, like the bias never changed, but I really gave you the reality that, okay, price could really drop down, right? But this is what we want to see, and this is what we're going to wait for. This is what we need to let price develop. Like, I think a lot of the times people are a little bit impatient, and like I think they just psych themselves out because they think that they're wrong because they're a little bit early. And because they're a little bit early and then they think they're wrong, they end up losing, right? So like I said, this is just a lovely potential little position right now. Nas looks like it's not doing anything. So like I said, gold is the only thing that we're looking at. But realistically, what I want to share on my screen, right, was just something that I think will really change the perspective in a lot of people with just trading as a whole, okay? So let's say right now we start with $100, okay? If you compound $100 monthly, okay, and let's say you do that, or let's say you have $100 in a trading account, you make 40% monthly, right, 10% per week, and you do that for 2 years, right? But on top of that, you add $100 into your trading account every single month, so $25 extra a week. So drop in the chat, drop a 1 in the chat if you think that that's realistic for you. Like, do you think that's realistic, something that you could do? Do you think you could start a trading account with $100, right? Either copy and paste and make 10% every single week, or just follow along with your favorite educators and make percentage based off of that, right? And also add in $100 in every month. Like, drop a 1 in the chat if you guys think that that's very realistic for you and that's something that you could do. Because I just want to know who I'm talking to. I want to know if I'm talking to the right people. I want to know if I'm talking to the people that really are going to be able to sit here and just see the potential, right? 10% every week kind of too much. You know what I mean? If it's too much for you, you know, I definitely understand your perspective, right? You probably more than likely trade a 1-to-1, 1-to-2, 1-to-3 risk reward ratio. That definitely will be hard, right? 10% every single week is very obtainable when you're able to sit here and you're able to risk 1% for 10, right? Like, for example, even on this trade right here, right? It's like being able to get in right here. Overall, what we're looking to target is about a 1-to-24, right? This is one trade setup, okay? I trade minimum, for me, I trade about 1-to-20s, right? That's where I'm looking for my first take profit, right? My first take partial, anywhere from a 1-to-5 to 1-to-10, right? So I just think it's all relative based off of what you've done as a trader, right? So if you think 10% a week is too much, it's like, it's definitely too much for you, right? I'm not going to say that it's not a lot for you, right? Because whatever you tell yourself is a lot is a lot. To me, that's not a lot, right? Because I've sat here and I've made, 10, 15, 20% in a session, in an hour. And you don't have to over leverage to do that. So the thing is, we're sitting here teaching proper risk management and also teaching fundamentals where it's like you can really take one trade a week, right? If you sit there and you take 1 to 10 every single week, right, and you wait for the best setup, the likelihood of you losing more than 1 or 2 of those trades is very slim. And if you're trading 1 to 10s, you have to understand, for every 2 trades that you're making 20%, right? So even if you lose 2 out of 4, your net profit is 18%. And like I said, even if you lost 3 out of 4, it's like you're still only down 3% in comparison to a 9% win. Okay? So what you really have to understand is whatever is realistic to you will be realistic to you. We're using these numbers because it just makes the most sense based off of what people are really looking to do, right? This would be more of an aggressive account, right? Obviously, because you're starting with $100, right? But like I said, the fundamentals apply, and there's a way to be able to just trade without having to over leverage, right? So if we really sit here and we look at these numbers, right, within 2 years, right, you would have accumulated your $100 to over $1 million. Okay? And it's like in the first month, it's like you really have to make this make sense, right? In your first month, you have to make $40 off of a $100 account. That is literally $10 per week. That's easy. Right? That is very easy. It's very obtainable if you have a plan, if you're following the right people. Trading is only hard if you're not listening to the right people. Like, I've been trading for 4 years, and it's like I've been able to sit here and just, in terms of the charts, having the freedom to be able to trade and withdraw just freely, being able to just have this skill set that nobody can take away from you, it gives you freedom to do a lot. Like, I'm telling you, like, today is my birthday. It's like literally after this call, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go probably get some exotic weed to go smoke, right? I'm going to go do a couple calls, close a couple clients. Literally, I'm going to close a couple deals, right, the next couple of hours. And then really what I'm going to be doing afterwards is more work. Like, really sitting there and just doing more work, right? Either on myself, on the business, or just in terms of making things better. I'm going to be doing something that's going to be beneficial, right? So what you really have to understand is I'm not going to be on the charts the rest of the day, right? After this call, I don't really care what happens, okay? So this is what I want you guys to understand. True freedom is not being on the charts every day. Because let's say, boom, 40% might seem crazy to you, right? 20% is not crazy, right? 20% is not crazy, okay? So within a year, if you sit here and you just make 20%, which is 5% a week, that 5% a week is very difficult for you. Then, like I said, you're listening to trash people. Because I'm telling you, like, if you really locked in with someone like me and you learn from me, it's like you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, damn, 20-30% is easy. I just made 20% a last trade. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I really think it just comes down to being around people where they can kind of shift your perspective. Because this might not seem like a lot for you, right? But this is starting with $100. Let's say you start with 1,000, right? Thank you, family. Thank you. I appreciate you guys, right? Let's say you start with $1,000, right? And let's say we even drop it. Let's say now you're only making 15% monthly, but let's say we're adding a little bit more monthly. Let's say we're adding $250 monthly. So I want you to understand that literally every single month you're making 15%. This is over the course of 2 years, right? Most of you can't be consistent with a skill set or something new for more than a month consistently, let alone 2 years. So I'm talking you trading and compounding, following this plan for 2 years straight, right? That's completely different than just sitting here and doing stuff the other way, right? So sitting here, like I said, we dropped significantly the percentage that we're looking for, right? But you can see that the money doubled. Like, most of you guys are really not making, right? Like, most of you guys will make more than $8,000 this year. But from year 1 to year 2, most of you guys are not making $50,000 every single year, right? Like, drop a $ in the chat if an extra $50,000, right? Or a $50,000 yearly income would change the scenario you're in, right? Would it help you? Would it benefit you, right? To be able to be in that position. And if so, right, you have to take this seriously, because look, let me show you how spooky it starts to get in year 3 and year 4, right? So most university programs are 4 years. So if you were to consistently treat your trading account with the most discipline, right, for the next 4 years, you're a millionaire. Like, drop a dollar sign, family, if that makes sense. Is that making sense to you guys? $1 million. This is $2 million. This is $2.1 million. Right? And this is the perspective that people, this is why most people quit at trading, right? Because they sit here and it's like, look at this. Their first year, they would have made $8,000. They would have been salty. They would have been like, I only made $8,000. I wish I made more. Right? Trading is not for me. Right? You might not have even made $8,000 your first year. You might have lost $8,000 your first year. So now you're looking at it and it's like, damn, I'm down really even more. But then year 2, 59,000, family. Doing the exact same thing though. That is the exact same thing. You literally didn't do anything different. You did the exact same thing. Okay? In the following year, by doing the exact same thing, family, $329,000 in earnings that year. If you think that's spooky, by year 4, you would have made $1.7 million. Just that year alone. Your total balance now would be up to $2.1 million. Okay, but let's say, you know, you are a little bit more spooky. Let's say you do 25% monthly, which to me, 20 to 25% monthly, like that's obtainable. That's very realistic. Like, that's not too far-fetched. You know, like, you don't have to risk anything too crazy to be able to do that. Like, if you're really taking 1 to 20s, if you're really taking 1 to 20s, 2 1 to 20s every single month and you're lit. You could lose like 5-6 times 2 in between that. As long as you win 2 1 to 20s, you're lit. Okay? But let's say we're able to sit here and make 25% monthly, which is very obtainable, like I said. Adding that same $250, now our total is $89 million. And you might be like, oh my God, Cash, $89 million? Like, what the like you never even seen more than 8,900 in your account, let alone 89 million. But this is like, you can't look at the 89 million and sit there and think that that's realistic for you. You have to sit here and you have to look at, you know, the first month. You have to sit here and understand, in your first month, you would have made $250. Right? Your account balance would have been at 200, or it would have been at 1,500. Right? It's like, if you sit here and you see, right, what ends up happening, right? The following month, your second month, you make $375. Your third month, $500. Your fourth month, $700, $900, $1,200. Right? Fast forward to the end of the first year, you're making $5,000 every single month, family. This is how important compounding your trading account is going to be if you just sit here and you look at the longevity of what it is that we actually are doing. Right? We're not just looking to sit here and just have quick money. We're sitting here to slowly gain our money, because you have to understand, the same thing that you were doing to make $250 is going to be the same thing that you're doing to make $5,500. Does that make sense, family? Drop in the chat. Drop a yes or yes if that makes sense. Right? Because like I said, it starts to get spooky. Your first year, like I said, the money probably doesn't start to get good until almost a year in. Right? $2,000 to $4,000 a month, that now starts to overtake how much you guys are making at your 9 to 5s traditionally, right? So just being able to understand that you're making more than you would at a traditional 9 to 5 through trading, what that allows you to do is just have more freedom, right? So now, like I said, from year 1 to year 2, you go from making $5,000 at the beginning of the year to making $84,000 a month. Then look at this. This is year 4. Year 4. You start off making $1 million a month. You end off making $17 million in a month. Like, look at how crazy the numbers get if you just add one more year. Like, literally, billion now. You go from 89 million to $1.3 billion. Like, could you imagine sitting there and saying that, oh yeah, guys, you know, I just made a light little 1.2 billion off of trading this year. You know, all I did was make 25% a month. I followed risk management. I was making about 8% a week. Right? Like, that's crazy. Like, to me, that is very, very obtainable. It's very doable. It's very realistic. And I think it just comes down to being disciplined and being able to just follow the right people. Because, like I said, do you have a plan now that sets you up to be able to catch trades that will make this make sense for you? Because I think a lot of people are not really taking trades where this type of stuff makes sense. Right? Goldie. All right, perfect. So we pushed into this lower area. My first area just got hit out. So if you got hit out on the first area, right, or if you're a brand new trader and you're smart, you listen to what I said, and you just had your stop at the low, then if you're brand new, you should be good with your stop at the low. If not, your first area would have got tapped, but I am in again. I personally entered. So like I said, took a 10 pip loss. I entered, like I said, a couple pips ago. So it's still valid. Like I said, ideally, this would be the lowest that we would want to see it come. To me personally, like I said, I wouldn't really be taking any other positions after this. And it would be really the same take profit. Okay. So if we just get rid of this, like I said, you could sit here and you could take this position. Like I said, I'm looking at it at the 15-minute time frame, and I really think that we could just dump. Right? I don't like just how these candles are printed. I don't like this engulfing candle. And I don't like the fact that we're about to be engulfed in this structure. If we close below the body of this candle, more than likely, we probably fall. So what I would recommend is either closing with a small loss, or if you're in profits at the time, maybe closing your profit, small profit. But ideally, like I said, I took a small position again just because I do think we probably continue a little bit lower just based off of what price is doing. Oh my god. None of you guys told me? What's wrong with you guys? None of you guys told me? Oh my gosh, that is crazy. It do hit different when nobody in the gang tells you that Nas comes into your area. Damn. That was clean too. Could have got in there, stop above high. Damn. Damn, you were watching it come and you never said nothing? That's crazy. It be your own people. I'm telling you, it be your own people. Sit here, trying to teach, trying not to sit there and just flip around, change pairs. And Kevin's sitting here eating. Kevin's sitting here getting fat while the rest of the gang is out here trying to buy gold. Like, that's crazy. It do hit different. You guys know FYBJ, man? It do hit different. If you guys don't know, if you don't know FYBJ, man, do your homework. Right? Go do your homework on Kevin sitting here and getting into the Nas trade and not telling the rest of the gang that he's in the Nas trade. Do your homework on that. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I'm over whooping now. J-Bait's the best. But, like, do you guys see how accurate this is? Do you guys see how accurate that we really are? Like I said, to me, sometimes the best trade is no trade. Like, because I couldn't get in to the trade in this area, I'm not taking it. Like, I'm not selling it here, right? This is why I say, like, oh, well, we missed it. Like, that's really how it goes. That's how she goes. Yeah, fuck, you missed it. Like, that's it. Like, I don't know what else, the if, ands, or buts. Like, literally, there's nothing else to really talk about. That's it, right? It really just needs to go. Like gold, for example, it's in our point of interest. If Nas was in our box, we would be looking for it, right? But it's like, ideally Nas, you know what I mean? I did that thing, right? But ideally, I could still see us coming back into the same area, maybe into the same area right at the beginning of the next hour. I doubt it, though. I doubt we really come above this wick. I would love to see us come above it, basically something like this, right? But we did kind of just fill whatever we were like. We did really fill what we were looking for it to fill. So you guys, if you were paying attention to that first initial area that we had marked up, right, the accuracy was just, you know, it hit different. It hit different. Let's just say that it do hit different. Okay. So yeah, gang. In terms of that, you know what I mean. We've been live for a little bit. So overall, like I said, what we want to see is Nas continue. Did anyone else get into Nas by chance? Did you guys get into that? Right. If you guys got into Nas and you guys are in the see, that's crazy. Like 15%. You guys just saw what I was saying. Like who said 10% every week is kind of too much? Yeah, no, it's not. It's too much over wherever you're trading at. It's not over here. Because look, boom. This is how much money you're going to have in 5 years. You do that every single week, Kevin. 900 billion. 900 billion. Right? Like, really put that into perspective. You just made 15% today, right? 15% today. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's impressive what we're able to do sometimes, right? Impressive. Right. So you definitely have to sit here and you have to make sure that whatever you're doing makes sense for your plan. Because like I said, maybe 1% is the most, makes the most sense for you. Maybe 10%, maybe 15%, maybe 2%, maybe 3%, right? To me, whatever makes the most sense for you is going to be based off of your experience and what you feel like is realistic based off of your paradigm in trading. But overall, like I said, what we do want to see is XAU USD continue higher. Right, and like I said, if we don't, like we already know why, right? Ideally, what we should see right now is just the last minute and 53 seconds should literally fly. Like we should really see price explode from here, or else, like I said, to me, we're really just gonna be horribly wrong, right? We're gonna be horribly wrong, but at least being horribly wrong, right? We were sitting here and we were right with Nas. Right, so definitely, you know, just a blessing. Right, just a blessing to say the least. But yeah, family, if you guys are in gold and you guys are in the SBC chat, definitely go drop XAU USD because I know that we're about to definitely be in some profits at 11 o'clock. I feel like based off of the smaller time frame, it looks promising, right? It didn't break below the area that I really didn't want it to see break below in terms of the 5 minute. And in terms of just these last two candles, it looks good. Like I said, it would only make sense if we continue flying. We shouldn't stall out. We shouldn't come back down. If we come back down, then in my eyes, we probably are wrong. Right? The beginning of the new hourly candle is about to begin right now, too, in about 44 seconds. So in my eyes, personally, we probably, like, this low right here, 1904, we shouldn't come below 1904 if we're really going to continue higher, right? So overall, like I said, this whole risk and parameter, it just makes a lot of sense, right? Like I said, you'd be risking at most about 15 pips, and that would be if you entered basically where price is at. If you got in a little bit lower, it would be maybe about like 12. But, you know, still to me, about 15 pip risk is like the safest. Ideally, in terms of a take profit wise, a 1 to 7 would be the first take profit. So like I said, family, if you're in the SBC chat, go drop an XAU USD, right, in the chat if you're in the cut. And definitely let people know that, you know, you guys are going to be in some profits. Gang, you guys are going to be in some profits this morning. So in terms of that, family, sheesh. I appreciate you. Appreciate you for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. For sure, for sure. But yeah, in terms of that, like I said, right at the beginning of this hourly now, whatever push down we get now, that should really be it, in my opinion. Like I said, if we push any lower, it wouldn't make sense. You can see we didn't close below that area. So like I said, it really, whatever push at the beginning of this hourly, to me, it's either we run or, you know, this is really where we're going to come and push into that last final area before we go higher. It looks like we could potentially go, but like I said, I would just give it a little bit of room to breathe if you did get in with that smaller risk. Like I said, there's nothing really to worry about. If you guys were already in gold buys earlier, realistically you should just be using profits anyway. Like if you took partials, at least, that is. If you didn't take partials, you probably would have got hit out either break even or you would have lost for sure. Because we did have low buys earlier in the day. I'm happy I partial. I'd have been salty waking up. Yeah, so seeing NAS, it looks like we're probably just going to continue to get that continuation towards the downside. I don't know how much higher will really pop up if we're able to really get that pop at all. Like I said, gold pushing down right at the beginning of the hour makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, like I said, we don't want to see candle closes. Like if this 3-minute close is where it's at right now, in terms of that bearish engulfing, to me, I would just say just close, take like a couple point loss, couple pip loss. It would be like 3-4 pips. But if we don't really close below that, to me, like I said, I would really sit there and anticipate it to go and just make its way at least, yeah, to me, I still like it coming up to about 19.15. But right now, 30-minute wise, it really looks like it's going to poop, if I'm being honest. And it might not even really dump. It might really just come lower into this area here. So, like, that first initial stop we have, like, 1904 basically to 1902 is, like, my second point of interest, like, on the higher time frame. So, on, like, the hourly time frame, 4 hour, 15-minute, I would be looking at that lower area as well. But like I said, I would just be really looking for a smaller time frame break of structure or accumulation. In terms of my eyes right now, it does look like if we're able to really get a little bit of a pop up here and then take this low again, to me, one more push down might be that spring that we're looking for, right? Or that we typically look for in terms of accumulation. So I could definitely see accumulation, right, starting to develop in this for sure. But overall, like I said, what we really want to see is just price give us more clear signs, right? Because as of right now, it really looks like we're going to continue lower. Like, I don't like bias. For me personally, like, I'm actually going to close personally. Just because I couldn't see at 11:03. I really, in the first 3 minutes, like I said, we didn't want to see this candle close the way that it did. The fact that this candle engulfed, right, the likelihood of us not closing below this is slim to none. Like I said, it just needs to be quick and fast. Like, whatever push down that we have now, to me, in the next 10-15 minutes, it's like it should be flipped if this is really not going to be the direction we're going. But right now, it really does look like we're going to go lower. So for me, I would say, you know, just wait on your hands, because we're definitely not reacting the way that we want to right now. And we miss Nas, right? We miss Nas. So that's how she goes sometimes, you know? Really how she goes. Nas was clean, though. Nas literally looks like she's going to fall and melt, take this low. But, you know, it is what it is. So, in terms of Goldie, like I said, you would have taken a small loss on the first initial position. If you're holding the last position, you have your stop at 1904. Like I said, we really could just play out of this box again right here. So, I wouldn't invalidate it per se. I would just say in terms of like a smaller time frame structure aspect, there's nothing here. But this gray box or this blackish box really is a like, it's a higher time frame like point of interest. It's something that in my eyes we could come back and revisit more than once. So it's not, like I said, that it's 100% invalid. I'm just saying that right now we could just see a little bit more accumulation and, right, a little bit more selling. Because like I said, we do have this slightly lower area as well. So to me, I'm not going to really force this area. We should have already left, right? So like we shouldn't have even come back down as low as we have right now. Like I said, if we really to have been going up, in my eyes, we really should have already been kind of taking these daily highs, right? So the fact that we haven't, like I said, to me, gold will definitely probably continue lower, at least for now, the time being. And then indice-wise, like I said, indice-wise, we expect it to continue to go lower. If NAS could pop back up into this higher area, that would be amazing. If not, you know what I mean? It is what it is. But gold, like I said, that's why we wanted to ideally close with small loss, right? Closed with about a 6-7 pip loss, so it wasn't too bad, right? In total, about like 18 pips. So it is what it is. Like I said, to me, just seeing how just kind of impulsive price is pushing, if we can kind of push into this lower area, maybe that's really where we're targeting. Like I said, this 4-hour candle should be as low as we're really going, just in regards to just the overall direction. Let me see. Yeah. So to me, like I said, 4-hour wise, we're really gonna have to see how this candle closes in the next 2-3 hours. But to me, we do have room to go lower. So to me, I would be sitting here and kind of seeing how we react out of this lower area, because we definitely could buy out of 1902.14. And it looks like we're kind of popping into that area right now. So yeah, in terms of that, family, right, I appreciate you guys for tuning in, right? I appreciate the ones that stayed throughout the stream. Like I said, we really sat here and explained how, you know, even on some light work, right, in the next 5 years, right, let's sit here and even break down 3 years, right, in the next 3 years you could really be up $500,000 off of trading, just taking it serious. Okay, so in terms of that, family, like I said, I hope you enjoyed this stream. Ideally, we're gonna be live tomorrow with SBC, right, on Zoom. So we're obviously gonna be exclusive for the camp. But in terms of that, gang, I love and appreciate you guys, and I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Like I said, gold, shit, we're really dropping into this area. So to me, like I said, we're in this last POI, so kind of seeing how price closes, I would sit there and just be waiting to see, you know, whether or not we actually close below this whole area. Like, see, that's why I'm happy I closed. I knew this shit was coming, right? So it's like you could really sit there and see, right? That's why we closed. This is what we anticipated. Like, it was more or less sitting here. Like I said, we look for the reaction out of this area. That impulsive drive down literally is like the epitome of why you don't want to sit here and risk too much. Because it's like, if we didn't just close this position, it's like you would have probably got slipped, if I'm being honest. Like, these are some very bullish candles. So do you see how, like, this is, I feel like, a skill that's more impressive sometimes than taking profits, is knowing when to get out of a trade early. It's knowing when to close a trade early. To me, we got the clear confirmation that the trade was invalid here. But it's like some of you would sit there and still hold it and then get salty that price dropped 30 points, and then now, to me, it took the low. I'm about to buy it personally. I just bought it, right? I just bought gold, right? So it's like, I just bought it now, right? Reason why I just bought it now is because, to me, what I like to look for is that first little sign of exhaustion. So that first, as soon as we start to exhaust on whatever we're doing, so in terms of the selling, so now that you can see, boom, we popped up. To me, whatever type of first pop up that I see after a big impulsive sweep, that to me is my sign to kind of sit there and get it, right? So I just took a small loss, right? This gray box was our point of interest, so we wanted to get in this lower gray box. But what we waited for was price to sit here and actually come all the way to the bottom of it first. And when you sit there and you wait for it to come to the bottom first, you notice how we sit here and we were able to get in an even better position, right? So for me personally, I took a small position. I'm not even gonna hold you. I think it happened for a reason right at the end of the stream, right? So if you want it to be like cash, right, and get in with a little something light, like I said, I'm really only risking 10-15 pips. And realistically, the first partial would basically be up in this area right here, 1905. And the reason why it's 1905 is because, to me, this is where we could realistically continue to go lower from. But then also at the same time, that would kind of that would give us back what we just lost, right? So it's like, realistically, you can see here, we took this position. Let's say you lost 16 pips, which is basically give or take what we risked. It's like now we're risking another 12. So in total, if we were to lose today, we would be down 30, right? So you should be buying gold right now, right? If you're following exactly what I'm doing, you should be getting in right now with the same risk that you just risked on the previous trade. Okay, so for me, like I said, I'm anticipating price to continue higher. So this is why, like I said, it's all about how you're able to handle and react to the charts. Because you guys can see, like, we're about to end stream, right? And I know a couple people definitely hopped off, right? But you can see how instantly, right, we're cool, calm, and collected. This is what we expected. We expected price to come lower, but we still wanted to buy, right? Like, drop a $sign if you guys are in gold now. Because this is where we should really take off. To me, in my eyes, this is where we should really see price run. If we're going to have price run at all, right? So like I said, this is something that's just really more or less kind of beautiful, right? This is really what we're anticipating even from yesterday. Like if I were to sit here and really go and look at the markups that we were looking at yesterday in terms of Goldie, this is something that we were looking at yesterday, right? So definitely beautiful in terms of that. So yeah, ideally, like I said, if you're in gold, to me, I would be sitting here and I'd be taking some profits at about 1905. Overall, I'm looking for the same take partial area, right? 1920. To me, anywhere above these equal highs, so anywhere above like 1916 area should be good. But in terms of that, like I said, gang, like we should really see price just ideally continue towards the upside, right? And like I said, if you just took any positions before, how you're able to sit here and ensure that your risk to reward stays consistent is just by taking just all the entries, right? You know what I mean? Like realistically, I don't like to take more than like 3 entries on a day. The reason why I like to take more than 2 is because sometimes we're wrong, right? Sometimes we're wrong, but it's all about risk to reward, right? So if we're always looking for at least a 1 to 5, 1 to 10 risk to reward, it gives you a little bit more room to be wrong. But it's like, we're not just going to take an entry just because we want to take an entry. We're going to take an entry that we legitimately think can run, right? So in terms of this, like I said, if you took the position, amazing. If not, like I said, it's a good learning lesson for you guys. Like I said, for me, this is what I look for. This is why I don't hesitate, right? This is why as soon as price pushed down all the way to this bottom, as soon as it started to react a little bit, I'm in there, right? No hesitation. So in terms of that, family, I love and appreciate you guys. Like I said, I'm going to catch you guys on the flip. Peace.